Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. Walking down the waterfowl aisle at your sporting goods store can be kind of intimidating, especially if you're new to duck hunting. I mean, just look at all the choices when it comes to just the duck calls themselves. You've got single reeds, double reeds, wood, acrylic, polycarbonate, different calls for different species, and that's just the calls themselves. And then there's the decoys and all the other accessories and the strategy and the technique of the hunt itself. Well, today we're hoping to take some of the intimidation out of duck hunting when we sit down with our own Darren Hill and expert waterfowler and game warden J.D. Stauffer. Then a little later, they'll put some of that expert advice into practice when they actually do a little duck hunting.
Well, JD, thanks for joining us here today.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, and now you're a game warden?
Yes, sir.
Now you're also an avid waterfowl hunter, right?
Yes, I am.
Good. So how long have you been waterfowl hunting?
A little between 6 to 7 years. Really just had some buddies at work that took me for the first time, and I just got hooked. We killed some ducks and had a good time, and I've just been hooked and been doing it ever since, all the time.
I want to step my game up a little bit, get better at my calls, and maybe mentor somebody. So I'm looking at you today as a little mentor.
Yeah, for sure. First, there's several different types of duck calls you need to know about. There's polycarbonate, there's acrylic, and there's wood. That's going to be the main different materials that they're made out of. Polycarbonate being the cheapest, and that's what I'd recommend for new duck hunters, being not only because it's cheaper, but they're very good calls. They make them usually in mass production, but they do sound like a duck, and they're very easy to blow. And some of them actually come with instructional DVDs or CDs that you can watch or listen to and learn from experts, and you can start to just replicate them and duplicate whatever they do, and you can become a much better duck caller.
Let's get started.
Okay.
Show me. So here I've got my basic
Yep.
call here, right?
Yep.
And this is something that was just given to me, and I figured it'd be something I could take out and use today. How would I use this, and what is this good for?
Okay, that'd be good for, basically it's really good for hunting. Polycarbonate calls, and this one in particular is a double reed, which means it has 2 reeds inside. If you break that call apart, you can show everybody that there's actually 2 different reeds in here. You can separate them just a little bit like that. You see the white one, you can see the black one. 2 reeds is going to be a little bit more raspier and usually easier to blow and a little bit easier to articulate different sounds on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good. Now, what end do I use? Do I use this end?
You're going to use the bigger end of the call.
Okay.
Okay. On all these calls, there'll be a bigger end.
Yeah.
And what you're going to do is you're basically going to hold the call right in between your thumb and your index finger.
All right.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're going to put the call right up to your lips, just as if you would if you were drinking from a bottle of Coke.
Okay.
Just like you were drinking. Just like that.
All right.
Okay. And then you're going to wrap these fingers around the end of the call, but you want to keep it open. Okay. A lot of people see hands wrapped around the call and think that they're actually choking it off. You need to keep it open. And these first 2 or 3 fingers can kind of be your fine tuners as you're calling, okay?
Okay.
You can adjust the sound just a little bit with these.
Okay.
But it's not going to make too big of a difference, but just make sure you leave the end of the call open.
Okay.
Okay. And then you place it up to your lips. And what you're going to do into the call is you're going to say the word 10 to do a basic quack, to sound just like a duck. It starts and it ends hard, you know, with your tongue at the roof of your mouth. So you're going to say that same word 10 into the call.
Okay.
Okay. And it's going to sound something like this. A lot of callers have problems with just using air from their mouth and actually just kind of blowing into the call, and it'll sound something like this. But you actually want it to come from your diaphragm, deep down, and that's pretty much how you want to blow, is with some intensity in your air. There's several other different types of calls you can learn. With the basic quack, you can go into kind of a duck call cadence and do some different things. Usually they call anywhere from 4 or 5 notes. You can drag it out to about 7 notes or so, just in a row, and kind of in descending order. And it's going to sound something like this. Okay. Just like that.
Good deal. Awesome.
Yep. There's different types of calls you can do whenever you're actually hunting to entice ducks into your decoys. There's 2 points of calling ducks.
Okay.
One is to get their attention and let them know that you're there, or your decoys are there.
Yeah.
And then the other point of calling ducks is to basically convince those ducks to come into your decoys by making it seem like the decoys are happy and content.
Yeah.
They're feeding, they're comfortable, and other ducks should join them.
Okay.
So there's the two different types of calls. The type of call you want to use to really get their attention would be like a hail call or a welcome call.
Okay.
Okay, and that's going to be kind of real loud, real aggressive. Sometimes ducks will be a long ways away. You can sometimes see ducks over a mile away,
Yeah.
or half mile away, and sometimes you just want to get their attention. So what you want to do is a hail call, and it's a high pitched and slowly progressing down as the ducks start turning towards you. But that high pitch is just going to grab them real quick, grab their attention, make them look, and then say, "Hey, some decoys. Let's go check them out."
Okay.
Okay, and then a hail call is going to sound something like this. I'm going to go to a single reed call because for a hail call it works a little bit better. Single reeds are going to be a little bit louder. Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Now, so would you suggest me trying that call with this one?
Yeah, you can definitely do it with a double reed.
So you're just saying blowing really loud at the very beginning and then just descend, just like we did earlier.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, there I go. I
takes
totally
practice.
messed up. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're breaking over just a little bit there. That kind of happens. You need to really control your air, and that just comes with practice and time.
Okay, yeah.
It's really hard to be a great duck caller overnight.
Yeah,
you can't do that. You can't expect to buy a duck call and go hunting the next morning and do
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It takes a lot of practice.
Okay.
So,
I appreciate it. This is awesome. Now, do you have any other calls that you would recommend somebody new getting, or something, or would you just suggest using one and getting good at that and then moving on, or?
I'd definitely stick with one call for a little while and get used to it. Chances are it's the caller if you're having problems. It's not the duck call. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So work out your problems with one duck call and get used to it. But there's several different types of duck calls.
Okay.
Whistles are great for beginners, especially kids. Some young kids, you want to take them duck hunting, they really enjoy it when they're in the blind if they can help participate in the hunt. You know?
Yeah.
And I'd recommend some whistles. Here's a couple of different types of whistles right here. And they're very, very easy to blow. You can teach a kid how to do this in just a few seconds. A green wing teal is perhaps the easiest one, and you're basically just going to blow some tweets and with about 3 to 4 seconds in between each one, and it'll sound something like this. Okay, and that would be a green wing teal.
Real simple.
Real
Yeah,
simple.
yeah.
Any kid can learn how to do that.
Yeah, and the other one sounds exactly the same.
It sounds just a little bit different. This one actually has a little roller ball in there, and it'll sound something like this.
Ah,
And that'd be a green wing teal.
yeah.
Also, with these same whistles, you can do a mallard drake sound. Mallard drakes use a real bass note. It's kind of hard for some younger kids to be able to do this, but adults can do it very easily. And you just use a very low bass note, and you actually just kind of hum into the call.
Okay.
And it'll sound something like this. Okay, and I'm just kind of humming into the call. Too often I see guys, you'll have 5 guys in the duck blind and all of them are blowing on regular duck calls and nobody's got a whistle. I'd highly recommend using a whistle.
Okay.
If you've got multiple callers.
Well, JD, thanks for all these great tips. I mean, this is great. Good information for newbie hunters or even experienced hunters.
Yes.
You want to go hunting with me tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do it.
That sounds awesome. Well, thanks for joining me, and Gunny, thank you too. Let's go hunting.
Here we are, morning to the hunt. We're out here placing some decoys right now out in the river where we're going to be hunting at. We've got some feeder butts, such as this one right here. You know, we've got a lot of these out right now, and we also got a lot of early season birds. We like using those decoys, such as pintails and widgeons. A lot of times they're the first ones to come through Oklahoma, and this is an early season hunt. It's only second week of season. But I like just throwing these decoys out there randomly. I don't like setting them by hand and placing them. Humans tend to have a tendency to make things real nice and clean and evenly spaced, and ducks aren't usually like that. So you always want to create a landing zone where your ducks can land, preferably where it's easy to shoot, of course. Right out in front of your blind would be the best place for that. And I'm kind of standing right here in the landing zone right now, just making sure there's enough room. We've placed some blockers downstream and upwind of where the birds are going to be coming in, and what I mean by blockers is densely packed decoys to stop the birds from actually flying over them and land just before them in our landing spot right here. Usually birds that are coming in to land in your spread don't like flying over a lot of other decoys. They usually like having a little bit of space where they can land, especially on windy days like today. We're looking between 10 and 20 mile an hour winds today, and you can probably hear it through the microphone right now. It's blowing pretty good. So Anyways, we're gonna start separating these decoys out just a little bit better, and I'm gonna get to hunting here in about 15 minutes. Get ready. Let's take it. Okay, let's take it. One. Touch it up, girl. Touch it up, girl. Good girl. Oh no. Johnny, fetch it up. Oh, what is she doing?
So we had, I don't know, probably about 4 ducks come in. A hen, 3 drakes, and we all were able to at least shoot one. I'm not sure if Jeff got one.
Most of us.
Most of us, yeah, Jeff.
When I was trying to shoot.
Yeah, yeah. So, you mind if I ask you a few questions about your calls?
No, go ahead.
So, JD, those birds came in pretty good, but you were still calling. Why were you doing that? And explain to me those calls you were.
Yeah, well, I wasn't trying to call too aggressive. Really, just to let them focus their attention on the decoys. And as soon as they passed us coming from the south, they saw the decoys and they knew where they were. But when they circled back around, you could kind of tell they were coming in. But I was more just doing some feeds and some chuckles and lonesome hen quack, just that single quack, just throwing it out there, just letting them know right where the decoys are. Here's where you need to be. Everything's good. Try not to be too aggressive in the calling and stuff, but it seemed to work because that one landed and the other 2 were just right in behind it. So, have you ever watched ducks on the water by themselves, and have you ever spooked them? Have you seen what they do? They start quacking.
Yeah.
All of them. They start quacking real loud, real hard. It's a sign that something's wrong down here and we're going to take off. Well, any duck in the air hears that, they're not going to come down to the water if there's a sign of trouble down in the water. So you want to. We got one coming in now, but yeah, you always want to keep your quacks not too aggressive unless they're going away from you.
So JD, we've got a little bit of downtime. We've had a few birds. Good morning so far.
Yeah, it has been a good morning.
Nice, better than. You always worry that it's going to be worse than what it is, but it's been nice. You made a few calls that I don't remember you teaching me about yesterday. I mean, you've made some calls that we did, yesterday, but you've made
we were
couple.
talking about just your basic quack and some comeback calls, hail calls yesterday. Some other things that I was doing were feed and chuckle calls, and that's just the feeding call is basically what a mallard hen's going to do while it's sitting on the water and feeding away, and it's just a chuck, 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 chuck. It's just going to sound something like this. It's not too fast, it's just kind of random, it's spaced out just a little bit, and that's just what a hen does as it's feeding. And that's just kind of a comfort call for ducks. Let them know that your decoys or ducks sitting on the water are comfortable, they're eating, they're content. And then the other one I was doing was a chuckle call, and it's just a faster pace feeding call is all it is.
Yeah.
And it's what you're going to do is you're going to say into the call, digga, 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 digga. Is pretty much all you're going to do, and it's just a little bit faster. So. That's pretty much all you're doing with a chuckle call. So.
Wow. Okay. Now, I'm going to start working on those. Those sound
yeah, those
good.
take some practice and stuff like that to get used to. And you can mix them in with some quacks. You can mix them in with your comeback calls, you know, and things like that. It sounds a little bit more ducky. It sounds really good when you get more callers doing them all at the same time. It'll sound like a lot of multiple ducks.
So give me a couple of rookie mistakes. You know, a duck hunter, you know, comes out here and he's maybe been hunting a little bit, but he what are the rookies probably?
So yeah, some big mistakes. Once they've mastered calling, you know, they're getting used to it and they're starting to sound like ducks. When they're actually hunting, some mistakes a lot of new callers will make is calling when you're not supposed to, and not calling when you're really supposed to. A lot of that comes with experience, just learning how to work ducks. And there is no real set rules on when to call, when not to call. It just kind of comes with experience, and every day is a little bit different with that. You kind of got to experience and experiment a little bit with the birds as they're coming in. Each group of birds do something a little different, so you find out exactly what they want to do. You know, that last group that came in, they committed. One was already down in the water, the others were right behind it. So that worked out pretty good. I think we kind of figured out the pattern today, what we need to do calling wise. I've had some days where the best thing to do is just put the calls up and not even touch them, you know. Don't call at all, and the birds will just come swooping right down. Those kind of days I'll be calling, and every time I call, the ducks get a little bit further away. You know, they just turn away and go somewhere else. They're not interested. But then again, I've had other days of hunting where I'm almost blue in the face calling ducks, you know, all the way in, and by the time they get into the decoys, I can barely stand and shoot, you know. So you just kind of got to experiment every day. Every day is a little bit different. So
yeah.
You know, decoy placement is critical to the success of any hunt. So now let's hear what JD has to say about that.
Well, Gunny and I here, we're standing right in the middle of the landing zone. And again, the landing zone is where we want incoming ducks to land, right here. And our blind is going to be right here in front of us. What we've done is we've jam-packed decoys down over here to my right. The wind is blowing this way, so ducks will come in and land right here. You can see we jam-packed a lot of decoys right over here. And right around me in the landing zone, we put just a couple of pairs. And this kind of simulates ducks that have just came in and landed. So we didn't put too many here, but we have plenty of room for new ducks to come in and land. We've got a lot of different species of decoys. We also have different head positions and shapes. As you can see, we have some feeders where the bills are actually down into the water. We also have some what's called feeder butts, where just the butt of the duck is sticking up. That's where their head is down at the bottom feeding. Variety is very, very important for ducks, especially the feeding decoys. It really makes ducks feel a lot more comfortable, as well as the full body decoys that we have up on the bank. Usually when I see ducks that are sitting on a pond or on a lake or anywhere, when they're very, very comfortable and very content, they're always on the bank. They're up feeding up there. Some of them at least are. So that's one reason why we like to use some full bodies if we can. And some feeders, and of course different species. Early season, you see a lot of widgeons, you see a lot of gadwalls, pintails, and of course some mallards. Later in the season, you usually see a lot more just mallards, just a lot of greenheads. But early season, I like to mix in a lot of puddle ducks. Just a regular 12-pack of mallards will work. I'd recommend, if you can, get a couple of feeder butts. They're usually sold in just a couple of pairs, and they're usually pretty cheap. Those are very, very effective with puddle ducks, and you can use them in creeks and rivers and ponds and lakes, just about anywhere. Another thing that I'd recommend to change up your decoys and not make them look so uniform is whenever you hook the decoy strings on, take about a quarter of them or maybe a third of however many decoys you have, and turn the decoy around and tie the string on the back of it, not on the front. That way, if you got a windy day or a current like we're dealing with today, some heads will be facing up current and others will be facing down. It makes it look a lot more natural. Duck hunting can be a lot of fun. It's a great way to get out into nature and just have a lot of action, a lot of shooting, a lot of different aspects going on with it, and it can make for a really great morning of hunting. Don't get frustrated if you're not getting a whole lot of birds at first whenever you first start. It's going to happen. Not everybody gets a limit every time they go hunting. Doesn't matter how many years you've been hunting. You can't measure the success of a hunt based upon how many birds you actually shot. You know, so get out, have a good time, enjoy it. Go with some friends, go with some experienced hunters, and take some new guys out hunting. It will be very, very rewarding.
Well, we hope that we've taken some of the intimidation out of waterfowl hunting for you today. Oklahoma is blessed with a liberal bag limit, a lengthy season, and no shortage of places to go. So if this is your first season, enjoy it. If this is your 31st season, well, take someone new with you this year. For all of us at your wildlife department, I'm Todd Craighead. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here on Outdoor Oklahoma.